A very good evening. You're watching Prime Time News here on TV1, coming to you live and direct from the News First studios here in Colombo. For the News First team, I am Ruhaz Irfan. Before we move on with our bulletin, here's a look at your headlines for this evening.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Proposal made to Sri Lanka to reroute major shipping lane further away from the country. Why did the Director General of Archaeology resign?
එතුමා ඉල්ලාස්වීමේ ලිපියක් දීලා තිබෙනවා කියලා සඳහන් කළා. නැවත මහාචාර්ය ධූරයේ කටයුතු සඳහා කැලණිය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට යන බව.
අනුර මනතුංග පුරාවිද්‍යා අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල් වරයාට ඵල නොකිය පලා බෙදනවා.
President's Media Division says Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security had not consulted security sector over Sri Lanka Telecom. New laws to be introduced to penalize the media by election law amendments. UNP's Navin Dissanayake is the new governor of the Sabaragamba province. Will Sri Lanka go for an election soon?
ජනාධිපතිවරණේ හැක ඉක්මනින් ඉස්සරහට ගෙන්න තමයි එතුමට උවමනාව තියෙන්නේ. ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් 150ක් සොයා ගැනීමේ වෑයමක ඉන්නවා.
මේ ජනාධිපතිවරණයක් එන්නේ නැත. ඉදිරි මාස 6 ඇතුළත මහමැතිවරණයකට යන්නම වෙනවා.
ගත්ත ණය ගෙවන ක්‍රමයක් හදාගත්තේ නැත්නම් මේ පාරවල් කවදාවත් හදන්න බෑ. ඉතින් කොහොමද මැතිවරණ තියෙන්නේ?
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Now on to your lead story this evening. Another crucial conversation regarding the Sea of Sri Lanka has emerged, and this time it's about the shipping lanes close to the island. The following is a News First special report.
The Sea of Sri Lanka is located right in the middle of one of the world's busiest and important shipping lanes. The east-west shipping route, one of the busiest and important shipping lanes, is located some 12 nautical miles away from Dondra Head in the south of Sri Lanka. Approximately over 40,000 commercial vessels travel along this route annually, passing Sri Lanka. The International Maritime Organization, or the IMO, has put forward a proposal to Sri Lanka to reroute the shipping lane further away from the island. In a report presented to Sri Lanka in April 2023, the International Maritime Organization has proposed to move the shipping lane from Dondra Head by another 15 nautical miles. The proposal was put forward to Sri Lanka by the IMO based on a proposal presented to them by several international marine environment groups following a comprehensive study in 2012. According to the IMO, the report had revealed that the existing shipping lane is located right in the middle of an area frequently visited by blue whales that are listed as endangered species. International marine environment groups had pointed out that the blue whales often die after colliding with massive commercial vessels operating along this route, and thus the shipping needs to be rerouted further away from Sri Lanka. The deaths of 3 blue whales were used as a case study in the 2012 report that was produced to the IMO. The report claimed that these blue whales had died in the seas close to the Colombo port and the southern seas of Sri Lanka. The report to the IMO also proposed to reroute the shipping lane, citing that small fishing boats also collide with the massive commercial vessels.
Now, the reason for this is a lot of international pressure put on IMO to try to protect wildlife. In our case, mainly the whales. There has been instances of whales being hit by the vessel, but there is also ship traffic with the local fishermen. The whales basically feed on the Dondra Canyon, which is basically the extension of the Nilwala Ganga. And that brings in nutrients, and there is in that canyon system there is a local environment which has a higher productivity, and that's the reason the whales are there. And the whales basically hang around the interface between when the fresh water comes in and to the ocean, which is where the big food is, and that interface actually is very close to the shipping line.
If this proposal goes ahead, the shipping lane will be rerouted to 15 nautical miles away from the southern tip of Sri Lanka. The new shipping lane will then be located 76 nautical miles away from Colombo, 25.6 nautical miles away from Galle, and 26.9 nautical miles away from the Hambantota port. Recently, Sri Lanka's Foreign Ministry and the National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency, or NARA, held several rounds of discussions on this proposal. The National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency views that rerouting the shipping lane by 15 nautical miles away from Sri Lanka would have a negative impact on the Hambantota, Galle and Colombo ports. Sri Lanka is expected to respond to the IMO proposal, and the delegation is expected to fly to the UK in July. The Sea of Sri Lanka is located in one of the most strategic locations on earth and is gifted with resources that are priceless. Will the Sri Lankan delegation be able to secure economic benefits to the country while also protecting the natural resources on the Sea of Sri Lanka? Shouldn't proper intervention be made by conducting a proper study?
What is happening in the Sri Lankan political sphere? On Monday, the district organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana, that hold a majority in the government, decided to boycott the meeting summoned by the president. Their position was that the president summoning meetings without informing the SLPP is unacceptable. Journalists posed questions to two SLPP ministers on Tuesday over the matter.
The SLPP organizers were summoned, however the SLPP had rejected the meeting, but the president was elected by the SLPP. That is not true. I am not aware of that incident. The SLPP members say they will not attend meetings. I am not aware. You should ask it from the SLPP General Secretary. The president called for a meeting with the ruling faction. Why did the SLPP district leaders boycott the meeting? That is not something related to the cabinet meeting. Other meetings are not related to this discussion.
Chief Executive of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Ajit P. Pereira, commented on the matter.
It
is clear that the SLPP is ready to sell itself to Ranil Wickremesinghe. The SLPP district leaders did not meet with the president on Monday. The message they gave was that they will not attend if ministries are not given. Ranil Wickremesinghe is not accepting this and says he cannot give positions to a group that was rejected by the people for destroying the country along with Gotabaya. Where will this tussle end? As per the position of Sagar Karivasan, the tussle will end when the SLPP puts forward its own candidate, even if they have to lose the election. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a log used by the SLPP to cross the current, and once the log serves its purpose, the SLPP will abandon it. Therefore, it is only a dream if Ranil Wickremesinghe wants to proceed with the SLPP.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe took measures to appoint Navin Dissanayake from the United National Party as the new governor of the Sabaragamuwa province. He was appointed to the position laid vacant following the resignation of Tikiriko Kaduwa, who was appointed by former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. After being sworn in as a provincial governor, Dissanayake spoke to reporters outside the president's office.
The president promised me this post some 8 months ago, and today it has become a reality. One thing I learned from the president is to face challenges and accept the challenges. I always look at things positively. I believe the country is recovering by the day. There were many issues, but they are being resolved gradually. The president has complete power to appoint the governors. When a new president is elected, the governors must resign. Therefore, he has the power, and the changes were made in consultation with the SLPP. It was not an arbitrary decision.
Director General of Department of Archaeology, Professor Anuramanattunga, on Monday tendered his resignation letter, a move that has sparked a debate in Sri Lankan society. Journalists posed a question over the matter to the cabinet spokesperson.
Director General resign karannat සිද්ධ වුණා. මේ ගැන ඊයේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා කැබිනට් එකේදී මොකක් හරි කරුණු පැහැදිලි කළාද?
නෑ වෙනි කරුණු පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් නෑ.
The president did not explain such matters. Minister Vidru Wickremesinghe gave an explanation. Since the Director General of Archaeology is a professor of the University of Kelaniya, he had worked under the contract basis for 2 years. His resignation is in the form of a letter. He will return to the Kelaniya University as a professor. The cabinet was informed that the letter was accepted.
ඊට පසුව තවත් අවුරුද්දක කාලය දික් කරලා තිබුණා. එතුමා ඉල්ලාස්වීමේ ලිපියක් දීලා තිබෙනවා කියලා සඳහන් කළා. නැවත මහාචාර්ය ධූරයේ කටයුතු සඳහා කැලණිය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට යන බව. එතුමා මේ ලිපිය පිළිගත්ත බව කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට දැනුම් දුන්නා.
Political parties that work to bring the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna to power and have not moved away from the coalition also commented on the matter. This is the position of the National Freedom Front.
පුරාවිද්‍යා ස්මාරකයන් දැන් බොහෝ සෙයින් විනාශයට
A majority of the archaeological monuments have been vandalized. An archaeological massacre is taking place in the northeastern provinces. As the president spoke to the members of the Tamil National Alliance earlier, there was a scathing intervention with regard to the Director General of the Department of Archaeology, Anuramanattunga. In the meantime, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is asking why this Kurundi Ashoka Vihara has 300 acres, and is the Kurundi Ashoka Vihara bigger than the Mahavihara and bigger than the Jetavana Vihara? President Ranil Wickremesinghe assumes that the Mahavihara got its name based on the number of land it owned. He is not aware of history and is using his executive power to remove Anuramanattunga, the Director General of Archaeology. If the stones cannot be removed, he asks whether he should remove the stones. We wish to tell Ranil Wickremesinghe that he has no mandate. He was assigned to implement the mandate given to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
පල නොකිය පලා බෙදනවා. ඔව් කියනවා මේවා දෙන්න බැරි නම් මම දෙන්නද? ගල් ගලවන්න බැරි නම් මං ගල් ගලවන්නද කියලා උහනවා. ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාට අපි කියන ඔබට මෙහෙම ජනවරමක් නැහැ. ඔබට පැවරී තිබෙන්නේ ජනාධිපති ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂට ලබා දුන් ජනවරම ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න.
This is the view of the Pivituru Helaurume.
උතුරේ දේශපාලකයන්ගේ බලපෑම් වලට ජනාධිපතිවරයා යට වෙලා මේ පුරාවිද්‍යා ස්ථාන ටික නිදහස්.
If the president succumbs to the pressures of northern politicians and releases these archaeological sites, the 2,000-year-old world heritage may be destroyed forever. If he wants to put our heritage at risk and amass a voter bloc for the presidential election, he is going on the wrong path. The presidential election must be held next year. He wants to bring the presidential election forward as soon as possible. A constitutional amendment should be made for that. They are trying to find 150 MPs for a constitutional amendment. This can be seen as one part of that effort.
සංශෝධනයක් කරන්න ඕනි. ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් 150ක් සොයා ගැනීමේ වෑයමක ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒ වෑයමේ එක කොටසක් විදිහටත් මේක දකින්න පුළුවන්.
A major political divide has emerged within the Sri Lankan government with regard to the divestment of major shareholding in Sri Lanka Telecom plc. The Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security, which is controlled by the majority SLPP, opposed the privatisation of SLT, citing national security concerns. In a report to the Parliament, the Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security highlighted 20 key elements, including wiretapping and sensitive material being passed on to third parties. Over the meeting, SLPP MP Nama Rajapaksa, while speaking to regional delegates from the SLPP, stressed that the proposal to privatise SLT is unacceptable.
Sri Lanka Telecom is one such example. There is an issue with respect to national security. I see it from a different perspective. If a state-owned entity is a burden to the government, there is no issue in inviting investors. However, we are concerned over the attempt to start it with the profit-making entity.
On Tuesday evening, the President's Media Division announced that it was revealed during the Security Council meeting that the report by the Sectoral Oversight Committee, which highlights concerns about national security regarding the privatization of Sri Lanka Telecom, did not involve any inquiry with the relevant agencies or departments responsible for national security. Professor Rohan Samarajiva, the former Director General of the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, appearing on the President's Media Division's 101 Kata program, asserted that privatizing telecom industry poses no threat to national security.
National security has become a slogan. We need to speak about national security. What are the threats to national security? How did we face those threats? What is being said is that if information is held by one firm, then it is safe. Consider the phone conversations by government officials. Do they use SLT? Their emails are most likely Gmail. Where is the data being stored? All these emails are stored overseas. Additionally, politicians and the government officials use WhatsApp to communicate. Is it owned by SLT? No, it is owned by Facebook. The Sri Lankan government does not have an email system. It is not like we are making an effort. I share that responsibility as well. There is nothing being stored here. People are speaking with a lack of understanding about the technology. Take a look at Mobitel. How many firms that are not Mobitel holding shares in it? There are licenses and regulations with regard to the data, who it is open to and who can access it. It is the TRC that regulates it all. The Data Security Act is also related to this. What is being said is about one company and the board, and the government should make the appointments. Will that solve the problem?
සහෝදරයෙක්ව සුදුසුකම් නැති ජනාධිපති සහෝදරයෙක්ව පත් කර ගැනීමේ අයිතිය. ඒක කරයි කියලා කොහොමද ඔය ප්‍රශ්න විසඳෙන්නේ?
Professor Rohan Samarajiva, along with several activists, filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department against 2 media institutions and 2 social media agencies.
අද අපි මේ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට ආවේ මේ විශේෂයෙන්ම ප්‍රධාන ධාරාවේ මාධ්‍ය දෙකක් වෙන සහ මේ media channel මේ නතාෂා ඉදිරිසූරිය සම්බන්ධ සිදුවීමේදී හැසිරුණු වගකීම්.
We are here to file complaints against 2 media institutions for their irresponsible conduct with regard to the Natasha Idrisuri incident. They carried the news in a manner that would incite the masses. The conduct of the media was far worse than what we saw of Natasha. They were trying to incite the masses and we called for legal action to be taken.
නීතිමය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගන්න කියලා අපි ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
මේ ඔබ කරලා පැමිණිල්ල ආණ්ඩුව යම්කිසි විදියකට මාධ්‍ය නියාමන පනතට යම්කිසි ඔබ රුකුල් දීමක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද?
This does not relate to the Broadcasting Regulatory Act. This is a complaint. This is on the part of the media conduct. This is a serious issue. We cannot simply cast aside the irresponsible media conduct based on the Broadcasting Regulator Act. This country is in a sensitive position and we are trying to solve our economic issues. Our appeal is to withdraw from inciting people since it was not done. I extended my support to this effort.
The issue that whether society would accept it as a joke. We condemn efforts being made to corner the performer with political agendas. We need to end the destructive moves done by the media as well.
විනාශකාරී කටයුත්ත අවසන් කරන්න ඕනේ.
The Sri Lankan government is making another attempt to bring laws to suppress the media, while a draft legislation that will imprison journalists, impose fines and revoke electronic media licenses is also being formulated. It was revealed in the announcement containing the cabinet decisions made available to the media on Tuesday. On Monday, the cabinet of ministers gave the green light to amend the Election Special Provisions Bill in a manner so that legal action can be taken in cases of violation of media guidelines when an election has been declared. Cabinet approval was given to an extension to the cabinet decision dated on the 12th of December 2022. Accordingly, a decision was reached to commence the preparation of bills for individually amending the Presidential Election Special Provisions Act, Parliamentary Elections Act, Local Government Polls Ordinance and the Provincial Council Elections Act. In March 2015, when the Good Governance government presented the 19th constitutional amendment, they tried to include laws that would penalize journalists if they violate the media guidelines issued in connection with an election. However, the Supreme Court's determination was that if Article 26 on the proposal is to be adopted, a referendum is also necessary. Is the government now trying to bring back these laws in different ways? In view of the strong opposition to the proposal of the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission, is this an attempt to adopt media suppression laws in another way?
මේ රටේ විද්‍යුත් සහ මුද්‍රිත මාධ්‍ය නොහෙට ඉන්න මේ රටේ කාලේ වැලිතලාවෙන් මේ රටේ
If it was not for electronic and print media in this country, the bond scam, garlic scam, coconut oil scam, tax fraud would have been suppressed. Without media, none of these crimes would have come to light. The government is afraid that the thieves and thugs in this government will be exposed. That is why they are trying to suppress the media. Therefore, if a Broadcasting Regulatory Authority bill is brought and a Broadcasting Regulatory Commission is appointed, and through that, if the ruler of this country is going to allow only news that he wants to be fed to the people, this will undoubtedly become the downfall of democracy in this country.
කරන්න යනවා නම් ඒක මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ මලගම බවට පත් වෙනවා නොඅනුමානයි.
If the Broadcasting Regulatory Bill is introduced and passed and a central bank bond scam takes place, can you air it? No. Will Bandul Gunawardena be able to paste posters claiming that he exposed the bond scam and this is his number? I don't know how he is in the cabinet with no shame. There were presidents who thought they will be president until they die. But it didn't happen. I will tell you today, there will be no presidential election. A general election must be held within the next 6 months. The Rajapaksa family is looking at ways to make Namal Rajapaksa the opposition leader as they cannot win the next election. And the first step was taken yesterday. They gave the first signal when seniors didn't attend the president's discussion.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ සාකච්ඡාවට රැස්වීමට ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨයෝ යන්නේ නැතුව පළවෙනි සිග්නල් එක දුන්නේ.
දැනට තියෙන තත්ත්වය අනුව නම් අධ්‍යතන
As per the current state of affairs, it is unlikely an election will take place this year in the country. If we consider an issue with my ministry, I am the minister in charge of highways. If we look at many roads today, they have been washed away and it is not possible to travel. We cannot do anything without funds. We do not have funds. Furthermore, we have been obtaining local and foreign loans, and since we defaulted, no one wants to lend. If we cannot figure out a repayment plan, we will never be able to renovate the roads. So how can we even conduct an election?
පාරවල් කවදාවත් හදන්න බැයි. ඉතින් කොහොමද මැතිවරණ තියන්නේ?
The Jatika Janabalavegya protest, named the Janabala Virodhaya, took place in Tangol today. The protest was held against the unending tax burden on the people, rising cost of living, government repression and against the illegal postponement of elections. The protest march, which began from Thisamaharama Road, concluded at the Tangol town.
ලබන අවුරුද්ද නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 17 වෙනිදාට කාලය ඉවරයි. නොවැම්බර් 17 වෙනිදා මාසයකට කලින් ඡන්දෙ තියන්න ඕන. ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 1 වෙනිදා හෝ ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 8 වෙනිදා ජනාධිපති ඡන්දි. සැප්තැම්බර් මාසේ
By next year November, the time is up. The election should be held 1 month before the 17th of November. The presidential election should be held on the 1st of October or on the 8th of October. September is for canvassing. August is for nominations. He's trying all sorts of tricks. Vajra Abhivardhana says that Ranil Wickremesinghe should be given another 5 years. He's not referring to elections. Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to cancel elections, but that will not be possible. J.R. Jayawardena cancelled elections, but when he did so, he had a 5-6 majority in the parliament. Ranil couldn't even make it to parliament. Does the UNP even have electoral organisers? What has happened now? One individual is running the provincial councils, municipal councils and local government bodies. The president has no mandate. This is against democracy and the people's franchise. We would like to say that we will fight for the elections that are mentioned in the constitution.
පළාත් සභාව තනිමිනියෙක් ප්‍රදේශ සභාව තනිමිනියෙක් මෙම රට පාලනය කරන්නේ මේක ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍ර විරෝධී මේක ජනතාව පරමාධිපතියට පටහැනි විවස්ථාවේ තියෙන ඡන්ද ජනාධිපති ඡන්දෙට කලින් ලබා ගන්න අපි වැඩ කරන බව අපි තමුන්වන්සලට
News first with the people.
More news will come away after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
When a heart attack strikes, every minute makes the difference between life and death. With the right care and treatment at the hand of the most skilled surgeons and medical professionals. With the perfect environment for recovery. Darden's Heart Centre, dedicated to you.
The Met Department says that several spells of showers or thunder showers may occur in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and the Gaul and Mathura districts as well. The department added that heavy rains of around 75 millimeters may occur in some places as well. In the 24-hour window that ended at 11 am this morning, the highest rainfall of 135 millimeters was reported from the Lakshakanda area of Ratnapura. Heavy rains in Ratnapura and the highlands in the area led to increased water levels of Kalu, Hangamu and Dinavaka rivers, and thus the lowlands around the city of Ratnapura were inundated. As of this morning, the Muagama water gauge in Kaluganga Ratnapura was observed at 5.49 meters as well. Several low-lying areas including Alapa, Hangamua, Karangoda, Dimiyava, Ginihiriya, Dambuluwana, Mudduwa and Hakmua were inundated. Evacuation will continue in villages near India's Gujarat coast today as cyclone Biparjoy intensified into an extremely severe cyclonic storm.
The Indian Coast Guard safely evacuated 50 workers from an oil drilling platform Key Singapore near the Gujarat coast. ICG's ALH Dhruv helicopters rescued the workers amidst very rough sea conditions and inclement weather due to the approaching extremely severe cyclone Biparjoy, which will make landfall on the 15th of June. Evacuation will continue in villages near the Gujarat coast today as cyclone Biparjoy intensified into an extremely severe cyclonic storm.
It is likely to make landfall between Kutch and Pakistan's Karachi on Thursday afternoon. Gale wind speed reaching 155 to 165 kilometers per hour, gusting to 185 kilometers per hour, prevailing over northeast and adjoining east central Arabian Sea, is likely to decrease, becoming 140 to 150 kilometers per hour, gusting to 165 kilometers per hour from the evening. The cyclone was named Biparjoy by Bangladesh, meaning calamity in Bengali. According to the IMD website, the name was adopted by the World Meteorological Organization countries in 2020.
The 189th annual feast of the St. Anthony's Church in Kochikade, Colombo is celebrated on Tuesday. The Sirasar Shakti Media Network is the media partner for this religious event.
A special mass commenced at 10 a.m. and it was presided over by the Auxiliary Bishop of the Archdiocese of Colombo, Most Reverend Dr. Maxwell Silva. The St. Anthony Shrine Kochikade is considered as a place of worship respected by all faiths and symbolizes coexistence among all communities. A large crowd was seen attending this year's annual feast.
මම මතක් කරන්න කැමතියි ඇත්තට සාන්ත අන්තෝනි මුනින්ද්‍රයාගේ පිහිටුපකාර ඉල්ලගෙන ඉන්නේ හුදෙක් කිතුණුවන් පමණක් නොවේ. කිතුණු නොවන බැතිමතුනුත් මේ ස්ථානයට රැස් වෙනවා.
It is not just the Catholics who come in search of the blessings of St. Anthony. Non-Catholics also visit the shrine every week, especially for the annual feast. We can say that this is a place that fosters religious coexistence and reconciliation. We have no differences here. We only have the language of the God. Therefore, as citizens, we use this place as a symbol of unity and coexistence.
අපි පුරවැසියන් හැටියට එකමුතුව ජීවත් වෙන්නටත් මේ සිද්ධාස්ථානයේ එක්තරා විදිහක සංකේතයක් හැටියට අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්.
On Tuesday evening, the procession carrying the statue of St. Anthony took to the streets. The Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, will preside over the special event for the blessings of St. Anthony on Tuesday night. The St. Anthony Shrine Kochikade started off as a small church in a congested Colombo neighborhood, and the statue of St. Anthony was moved from Goa to Colombo in 1822. On the 15th of August 1990, St. Anthony Shrine Kochikade became a symbol of the Archdiocese of Colombo, and even today the church serves as a major place of worship. And even today, the church serves as a major place of worship.
We're now joined by News First Stefan Rodrigo, who is travelling along the procession of the Feast of St. Anthony's Shrine.
As you can see behind me, the procession is here for the annual 189th St. Anthony's Church Kochikade feast. What makes this year's feast much more remarkable is the large crowds that have gathered here from all corners. And that is what makes this year much more remarkable and prominent from the last 3 years combined. This is Stefan Rodrigo for News First team from St. Anthony's Church Kochikade.
Thank you, Stefan. Now moving on to more local news. Heads of the Mahabodhi Societies of Sri Lanka and India met in Japan.
President of the Mahabodhi Society of Sri Lanka, Chief Sanganayaka of Japan, Chief Priest of the Lankaji Temple, Japan, Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thero met with a group of top-level monks at the Savara Lankaji Temple in Japan. General Secretary of the Mahabodhi Society of India, the Most Venerable Palavatte Sivali Nayaka Thero, and Mahanayaka of Dudara Tamarapura Nikaya, Venerable Durandara Yalagamuwe Dhammissara Thero, also visited the Lankaji Temple in Japan. Discussions were held regarding promoting Buddhist affairs between India and Japan.
180,000 million rupees worth of treasury bills are to be issued through an auction on the 14th of June 2023 by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The closing date and time of bid submission is 11 a.m. on Wednesday, 14th June 2023. The date of settlement is the 16th of June 2023.
An easy maintenance water plant gifted by the Chinese Academy of Science commenced operations on Monday.
The Chinese Academy of Sciences donated an easy maintenance water plant for the people in Methihaka, Matale on Monday. 120,000 litres of groundwater will be converted into drinking water for 800 villages in the area every day. The opening of this was attended by Chinese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Ki Jing-hong, and State Minister Sanat Nishanta. A special discussion on the quality of the groundwater in Sri Lanka and also efforts to reach the United Nations Sustainable Goals in relation to water took place in Kandy. An easy maintenance water plant gifted by China via China-Sri Lanka Joint Research and Demonstration Center for Water Technology was opened as well.
India's Adani Group is looking to complete the renewable energy project in Sri Lanka by December 2024.
Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara said that he discussed the progress of the 500 MW renewable energy project in Mannar and Punari with Anil Sadana, MD and CEO of Adani Transmission Limited and the project management team today. The minister tweeted that both sides discussed the challenges, roadmap and timeline for the project completion and the commitment by Adani Green Energy to complete the project by December 2024. The Board of Investment had in February approved 2 wind power plants by India's Adani Green Energy Limited with a total investment of $442 million.
Donald Trump is due to appear in court in Florida to face charges of mishandling sensitive document after he left the White House.
The former president will enter a courthouse in Miami for an initial hearing on Tuesday, the second time he has appeared in court this year. Miami's police chief said the force was prepared for between 5,000 and 50,000 of his supporters to gather. Trump, meanwhile, spent the night at his hotel resort in the city. The 76-year-old will probably travel by motorcade from the Trump National Doral Resort to the Wilkie D. Ferguson Jr. Courthouse, where his arraignment is scheduled for around 3 p.m. local time. Following the 25-minute journey, Trump will appear in front of a judge and is expected to deny 37 counts of illegally retaining classified documents and obstructing the government's efforts to get them back.
And that's a wrap of primetime news here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Raza Irfan. Good night and take care.